up next? Well, the topic is again a very picky and a choosy one. We're going to be talking about next gen customer experience, the tech way. May I please call upon stage our speakers for this discussion, our moderator and our panelists too. Please welcome Mr. Pankaj Narulla, Executive Vice President, Broadridge. Can we please have you here on stage, sir? Followed by Mr. Manikumar Krishnamoorthy, Digital Engineering, Generative AI Global Head, Virtusa Corporation. Followed by Tanu Mukherjee, Senior Director, IT Strategy and Transformation, PepsiCo. And last but not the least, Mr. Prateek Mehrotra, Director, Global Technology Solutions, Verizon India. Can you please have all our four speakers to kindly join us on stage to take us through the next panel discussion? Yes, please, our moderator, all our panelists on stage. Before we have a kickstart, we can actually join our hands together. It's going to be one of the most fascinating topics, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about the tech way, the experience for customers indeed. All right, so on that note, the stage is all yours. Over to you, gentlemen.
Thank you, everyone. I think very interesting discussion. That's a lot of discussion about satellites and space. I think just try to bring the discussion back home to earth and little bit talk about our customers. I think today's topic is very interesting. I think we all know that for any organization, and any business, customer is the most important key because that is how we get the revenue. That is how our profit comes. But before I go into very deep into the discussion, very quickly, I just want to introduce myself and introduce the panelists, and then we will go on to the journey. So my name is Pankaj. I'm working as Executive Vice President in Broadridge. I take care of asset servicing operations and global settlements, and lead that from India. I request Mani to quickly introduce himself.
This is Manikumar Krishnamoorthy. You can call me Mani. And I have around 26 years of experience in the IT industry and currently in Virtusa, heading digital engineering and generative AI, responsible for transforming the customers is one of the responsibilities.
Thank you, Mani. Great to meet everyone. My name is Tanu Mukherjee. I am a senior director working with PepsiCo, and I lead the largest global IT location for us, which is based out of Hyderabad. Again, about 23, 24 years of experience across the IT-enabled services industry, various domains, and a big user of technology, but not a core technologist.
Hi, I'm Prateek Mehrotra. I work for Verizon. A little bit about Verizon. It's the leading global service provider for communications, technology, entertainment, and information. We provide data, video, and voice services across the globe, but predominantly our retail business is out of United States. And we are also the premier in the 5G rollout in that country. I lead the enterprise transformation for my organization on the IT side of it, with programs on supply chain and finance transformation at this point of time. I also lead the innovation charter for my organization. And in the past, I have been very, very closely associated on developing solutions for customer engagement across different channels, including digital and assisted. I'm glad to be part of this esteemed panel. So, and looking forward to this discussion. Over to you.
Thanks, Prateek. Just to kind of little bit of a context, like I mentioned, customers are very, very key for us because they get revenue and they bring profitability. But if you really have a good customers experience, and that definitely marks a lot of premium. So typically, if you really look at the trends that are going on in next gen customer experience in 2023 and moving along in 2024, I think there's a big trend which is going on where organizations are tapping into multiverse and immersive customer experience. You will see a lot of multiverse channel where the entire digital world is getting to the new age organization. And the other day I was reading an article where if you go for a dinner, the entire music, lighting, and even the table changes based on your experience and your preferences. The second major trend that we are seeing is the personalization, where there's a huge amount of customization that the user is asking. Means most of the shoe companies, if you really say, you can actually go and order a customized shoes just based on what you want to order. And the third thing, if you really look at is, and I think all of us in this room must be living and breathing, is the recommendation engine. Like you browse something on your browser, and next time you see the ad coming on your Instagram. And the fourth is definitely the advent of generative AI and chat GPT. I think that is going to bring a lot of associates, employee enablement, and staff augmentation, because I think everybody is going to start using that as their personal assistants, because a lot of analysis, lot of the mill work can be done based on that. And most important trend that is upcoming in 2024, the fifth one, which we can see is, how are we going to have ethical AI policy, the governance around the policy, and how to have a responsible AI. So these are the five trends that I just wanted to put as a context. And with that regard, I will request Prateek to talk more from a mobility industry in terms of some of the technology that they are using to get better customer experience. So Prateek, you may throw some light on that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So I did talk about the organization and the business that we are in. I'll start with what does experience mean to us? It is about the life cycle management when the customer goes through the shopping, buying, provisioning of the devices, provisioning of the network, and value-added services, bundled or unbundled, billing, then account management, and any service and support need that the customer has. And then it's also about the engagement. We have presence across the nation in US, 6,000 plus stores. We have digital channel, website, as well as mobile app engagement, and then call centers. So this is one of the aspect of how we look at the experience. Other than this, the customization, right? That's another for us, the personalization piece of it. And then more and more the expectations of the customer to get this service when they want, where they want. So this is how we imagine the areas that we have to address when it comes to the customer experience. Now, what are the challenges? We have 100 plus 115 million retail wireless connections. We have broadband connections, and that kind of tells the scale at which we have to operate, engage with the customer. So scale is definitely one of the challenge. Along with that, we have the multiple touch points, whether it is digital store, then the complexity of the business process, right? Because now we deal with multiple OEMs, Samsung, Apple, these are the big names that we have from where the devices are sourced. So all this is part of the complexity of the business process when the customer orders their devices and till the time they are provisioned. Other than this, the personalization now, more and more the expectation, and also when we talk about next gen experience, it's all about hyper personalization. And also with the advent of the technology, especially data science, we are definitely making inroads on the kind of personalization that we provide as looking at it as a journey, and that each step of the journey, how we are providing that personalization based on the preferences of the customer, what devices they are looking for, what would be that when would their next upgrade happen? So accordingly lay out the offers for them. So these are some of the challenges that we are facing. Along with that, the usual stuff of business intent to provide a higher value to the customer. And that's one of the things where the targeting comes into picture, again, depending on the life cycle value of the customer. Now, coming on to the approach that we had, we were the first one pioneers in US to foray into the 5G, and our intent definitely has been to have our experience as good as the network experience that we provide. And having seen through, the multiple years of the service across the assisted channels, predominantly store, then we forayed into digital and focused on digital first approach, then the mobile first approach. Now we are looking at how do we make it more immersive, and how do we make it more journey based, more personalized. And this has been made possible when we talk about how tech is driving it, modernizing the platforms. And this is where, building the dynamic interfaces, services, and also having, data, making it data driven, leveraging the AI capabilities and providing that personalization to the customer. So one of the things that we do as the customer moves from shopping, buying, how do we really bring in the aspect of next best action and really driving that next best action, next best communication to the customer. So one of the use cases, which all of you could relate, is so many times we do some transaction on the e-commerce, on the digital platform, and then we move to the stores. How do we make sure that there is a continuity that is there? So when you reach to the store rep already knows what transaction you had done and what context you are coming. So there's a lot of focus on building those contexts using the technology. And the last one being focus on the emerging technology to drive the innovative interfaces, both for our customers as well as for our reps who actually assist the customers when they walk into one of the retail stores or other stores that we have partnership with. So this is how the approach has been. And I think when we talk about the examples, I gave few of them how we have given that experience from shopping, buying, and then provisioning part of it. But we are also taking it a level up. That how do we really look at the pain points of the customer when they are at home consuming the service, and that's where one of the issues that was identified from the analysis of the support data, that when we are rolling out 5G and we are providing the Wi-Fi experience within home, the customers were having problems of weak signals, which we usually face. So that's where our team here went beyond our regular solutions and brought in this innovative solution around Wi-Fi analyzer, which was integrated into the mobile app experience. Now, the customer does not have to call or wait for somebody to assist. They can directly figure out from the app itself, which is again based on augmented reality. And that's the point that we were referring to on the immersive experiences that we can provide. And that has really brought down the calls that are coming for the support as well. Now, customer can really figure out how to position their routers, and even the app provides the recommendation for network extenders within the home. So it complements the way the customer is using the service and then impacting.
And Pratik, I am pretty sure some of the things that you're bringing in will have us get into a good network area. Thank you so much. So now shifting gears to food and beverage industry, I think that was a very good segue done by Pratik on the uh, mobility side. But coming from a food and beverage more look and feel, what are some of the things that you are working on?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. As you can well understand, we have 23 global brands that are really well loved. Each one of these brands are a $1 billion revenue generator on an annual basis. COVID really marked a big change in terms of consumer preferences. And that was also the time when we made a very heavy shift and very quick shift into the e-commerce business. And we really started expanding on our direct to customer sales. Now, I will touch upon two things. One, let me talk first of all about the whole hyper-personalization journey, and let me bring it closer home. So in 2023, earlier this year, when Google stopped the support of cookies and, for first-party data on browsers. It impacted nearly 65% of our browsers. And that meant we were not able to collect the first-party data and provide the personalized experiences for our consumers at scale. So we had to shift gears quickly. And that's when our technology team in Hyderabad came together with the business, and they were able to create a platform which combined our application sources that collected data for first party and anonymized data from second party, third party sources on the Salesforce Marketing Cloud platform. And they were able to then generate a ton of, let's say, recommendations on personalization, what were consumers preferring to buy. So for example, if Kurkure was selling hot during Diwali, then we wanted to be sure that the kind of SKUs that were being picked up in the stores were the ones that were available with our retailers. Similarly, if we were looking at Sting selling heavily in the rural areas, let's say with consumers who were on the go near petrol pumps, etc., you wanted to be sure that the OTT or the SMS campaigns, etc., was supporting that, or the regular Panwadi available, had that, the stock of Sting available. So that's really about the personalization for consumer data. Let me give you one more example from the space of customers. So we have close to about 25 to 30,000 frontline sales people who go out on the routes every day, and they need access to, very crunched data that is available, which tells them which stores to visit, what should be the minimum order value threshold that they should be aiming for, what is the kind of recommendation that the engine is throwing up to say what kind of stocks need to be replenished, what is the credit limit availability for certain retailers. So all of that data then becomes available through the sales operations enabled by Salesforce. And it is the tech team that really works at scale to be able to provide those set of KPIs that can drive that recommendation and can drive the sales for us.
Thanks, Anu. I'm pretty sure you'll happy to know that my younger son really loves Doritos. Okay, I think very unique perspective in terms of how you're using data in online and offline mode and converting into really deep personalization. Just shifting gear a little bit, Mani, what are you seeing the upcoming trends in terms of technology and how they are impacting the customer experience?
Sure. Before I talk about the trends in the technology, probably I will provide some of the examples of what we talk about as a customer experience, right? So one example is probably I will give it from my what I go through, what I did go through, right? So it's I used to be living in US almost for 10 years. So I was from I'm from Chennai. When I went to US, I wanted to have a filter coffee, right? I'm pretty sure that if you are going from Chennai, you would want to have a filter coffee. If you are going into US and then if you are looking for a filter coffee, you are not going to get it. Either you will be getting a coffee from Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. That's the black coffee you would get. Or the best bet, they will say it, a Dunkin' Chino is available from Dunkin' Donuts. This is the coffee you will get it. But I'm really looking for very good filter coffee, at least coming closer to the filter coffee, right? That's when I was talking to a barista in Starbucks, and glad that he was able to give me a spec that would kind of mimic the filter coffee, double tall, extra hot, semi-dry cappuccino, right? So I started drinking that coffee at anywhere I would go to US, anywhere I go in US, I was able to get that same coffee. If I say the spec, I'm able to get that coffee. That's a good experience, right? From Seattle to New York, I was able to get that. That's not it. It's the real reason why the Starbucks is a multi-billion-dollar company is when I went to Hong Kong, I don't know the language. There is a Starbucks. I went, I didn't say anything. I just said, yeah, I didn't say anything. Double tall, extra hot, semi-dry cappuccino. Can you give me a coffee? They gave me a coffee that's exactly the same taste what I tasted in New York or Seattle. That's a consistent experience we are talking about. If you want to have a consistent experience, or if you wanted to have a real experience, this is what, right? Another example probably I will highlight, right? It's again, gone are the days we would go to the bank and withdraw money. Gone are the days we would go to ATM, getting the possibility of 100 rupees note, right? We don't get that anymore in ATM. And now UPI, just flash the phones and you would be able to pay the amount, right? That's where we are. That's the customer experience transformation we are talking about. One last example, right? That movie goers, we all go to the movies. 15 years back, when you are going to the theaters, the experience you can imagine, right? It's probably you would want to go to the movie once in 6 months because it's messy, right? But now you would make it a point that every once a week or once in 2 weeks, I would want to go for a movie. I want to go for a dinner. That's the kind of an experience changed, right? This is the customer service experience or customer experience transformation we are talking about. And again, how is it possible? This is because of the technology, right? The technology enabled the business models to change, or the business workflows reorchestrated. That's how it's changed. The one of the technologies probably 5G, AI, and everything was playing a part in it. And definitely, I would probably, with a limited time, I would touch upon the AI's influence on the customer experience transformation, right? Again, being part of the Virtusa family, I had an opportunity to talk to almost 50 different customers in the last 8 months of time, right? When we are having the conversation in terms of what is the realm of possibilities of AI, what AI can do, right? See, this is what I would put it this way, right? When we are looking for AI specifically, Gen AI is something which everybody is talking about. If I'm really asking the question that why Gen AI is from 14th century, AI machine is there, AI is there. But what is the sudden burst in or sudden buzz around Gen AI in the last 8 months or so? If you really ask that question, probably I would put it this way, right? In the last 20 years, because of the cloud systems and everything, we have all the data possible, which is available. But if you really look at, will I be able to process the input continuously until this point of time? Probably not. Giving an example, right? I have to give the example. When you are talking to Siri, until even now, if you're talking to Siri, if you ask the question, it is going to be responding back to you, right? The moment you ask the second question, it is not going to understand the intent or the context. You need to explain what exactly you are asking. In 8 months back, that's exactly transformed. That's exactly changed. That's the buzz which been created through generative AI. That's exactly what we are all talking about, right? So when I'm really looking at generative AI, so where are the use cases? Or what are the places where we'll be able to leverage generative AI so that the customer experience is going to be transformed? Probably based on the conversation we had with the customers, I will put it in 4 ways. One is there are a lot of use cases that is getting built or helping to transform the customer journey in terms of that is domain specific use cases. When I'm looking at a domain specific use cases, PFS industry, if I wanted to have a financial advisory, definitely Prateek can vouch on that. There are generative AI implementations is helping to provide insights around the kind of investments anybody is going to make it, right? Because for a person to understand 10 different documentation or 10,000 different documentation it's impossible. With the generative AI, it's going to be helping you to leverage the technology for 10,000 different documents to provide insight around whether it is a right investment or not. But in the case of healthcare industry, clinical trial, you are able to see a lot of generative AI applications that is changing the customer experience, right? And again, Verizon is another telecom industry where we can take an example. Another thing is it's insurance. Insurance, another classic examples where I would be able to say that claim processing. The claim processing where the efficiency can be improved. That's where the generative AI is kind of coming and playing a major part there. In addition to all these things, if I really look at two areas where it's having a major impact is primarily the customer service representative side, CSR side. The another one is enterprise search. The search, when you are asking for, when you are looking for something, the way how it is going to be responding, the queries, right, the responses, right? These are the two areas where it is cutting across all the domains. That's primarily where you are able to see the customer experience is getting transformed. The other area is primarily on the automation side, where the back office, front office operations, the settlement and everything, what you are going through in a BFS, definitely GenAI is going to be helping you out. By virtue of helping out, it is going to be transforming the experience of what you are dealing with the customers, right? The third is, again, assisted coding or assisted engineering. When I'm really looking for the way how the generative AI has transformed this is what transformed, right? AI assisted engineering is not in existence until now. It is there, right? Generative AI has changed it in a way where, based on the command, what you are asking the system, it is going to give you the code. To give you an example, if I wanted to write a code in Java for a Fibonacci series, I don't need to go and write the code. I would be able to just provide a prompt saying that write a code for Fibonacci series in Java. If it is not Java, if I want to write it in Python, still it would be able to write it and give it to me. That's the kind of an experience you are able to get it out of the generative AI. These are some of the examples where the technology is really boosting or changing the customer experience transformation journey.
Okay, thanks, Mari. And the point 2 and 3 you made just now, I just want to very quickly share a very interesting use case because it really resonates well. That as part of Broadridge, we launched recently a product called Bond GPT. As part of that, see earlier in scenario, any trader who wants to know the bond prices, they will raise a ticket, then an associate would create a SQL query, extract the information, put it in the format the customer wants, and then send it out. With the launch of a Bond GPT here, the trader directly can go and ask the question. And to the point that Mani mentioned that the generative AI creates the SQL query automatically, goes into the uh, applications, pulls the information out and gives it to the customer instantaneously, removing all the middlemen and having a very, very smooth process. So that's just wanted to share one use case with you. Um, Pratik, coming back to you, one of the trends that we definitely are looking at is when we are on a journey of a customer experience, we definitely see that there are different demographics of the customers now. Because in the last decade, there's a huge amount of change from a technology perspective has happened. The newer generation is adopted to a much, much more technology, while we still have to cater a large part of population, which is more on a old technology. Like one of the trend that I'm seeing at my home is nobody wants to call any customer care anyone. All my kids rely a lot on texting and chat and chatbots. So any insights into on those fronts?
Yeah, thank you, Pankaj, for bringing that point. And demographics are very essential when we talk about hyper-personalization aspects of it. And that's inbuilt into our experience, current experience, as well as what we're planning for the next gen experience. For example, right when there's the journey that's going from shopping, buying, of course, looking at through the recommendation engine, providing them, insights on what could be the possible purchase for them. And for example, if we know that account member is coming and who has children of certain age, then we also kind of put the recommendation for the gadgets or kids gadget smartwatches that are there. So these are some of the uses that have been implemented, looking at the changing preferences based on demographics, but also not to give in to the age, but difference between Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. We clearly would want to have their experiences. The new generation, as you mentioned, they're not just digital, they want to be more conversational with the machine. They're very much at ease talking to a machine. But when it comes to, the previous generation of customers, they would prefer a human to assist with them, right? So our endeavor for the experience is not to make the digital system smarter. It is also to enable the reps who are there in the assisted channel, whether it is in the stores or in the call centers, to provide them with intelligent insights more from digital assistant perspective, so that they can help the customers who have preference to talk to human, but still make it seamless, make it quicker for them to respond to the needs of the customer. And just taking that one step forward, when we talk about next gen experiences, more and more we see how it's synonymous of the young generation of customer with also the young generation of employees that are around here. And even in my own organization, the focus is also improving the employee experience and providing them that intelligent experience, the digital experiences that a younger generation would expect, because now that's how they assess the brand standing. That's how they show, they kind of look at continuing with the company. It becomes an important retention tool to the employee experience that is provided to them. And that's where Gen AI, what Mari was talking about, has been an essential part of providing the next gen experiences, making the conversational system, which the young generation is so used to, making them smarter using now Gen AI. One example is that the common experience that any employee or customer gets is to really understand the product or the organization policies. And those are our first set of experiences that we are providing using Gen AI to really scan through the knowledge content and to be able to produce the intelligent responses, so that more and more of these preference that is there for young generation, they can do self-service rather than reaching out to any human.
Thanks, Prateek. So very quickly, looking at the time, considered as a rapid fire thing. Uh, I know we have been discussing some time back, like how are you taking care of your different generations of from an employee experience perspective? Because as a matter of fact, they are your internal customers. So what are the things you guys are looking into?
Sure, great question. So I'll talk about three examples and try to wrap it up quickly, like you said. So we have more than 350,000 employees globally, and each one of them is interacting with tech systems on a daily basis. So I was speaking with our IT service desk leader yesterday, and every day he's getting some 27,000 comments due to service desk, ServiceNow interactions. About 300 of them are, let's say, negative sentiments. So you definitely need a Gen AI capability to be able to parse through the sentiment analysis and then be able to propose the recommendations on what is the knowledge article that the help desk person needs to attend to, or what is it that we need to reinforce for our employees to be able to serve them better. Let me give you another example of, let's say, our R&D teams that are spread across the world. And again, they are working on very high-end research data on a day-to-day basis, and they don't have the time to really access tons and tons of research material or reams of data analysis that might have been done by a colleague sitting across the world on a similar solution that they may be working out on, let's say, to reduce the sugar content in the Pepsi that we love. So again, Gen AI comes to use, and that's a use case that's being currently worked upon. I'll take the last example to talk about our growers who we work very closely with. So farmers who are growing potatoes, who are growing corn, IoT, drones, satellite imagery, all of that comes together. But then ultimately, you're looking for smart ways in which they are able to consume this data in a usable format, and something which provides them at a click of the button kind of reference points that helps them manage their crops better, know when to water, know what kind of medicines to be used. So those are three examples where new age technology definitely comes to the rescue, not only for our employees, but also for our customers.
Yeah, just very quickly to wrap up, because I think no discussion can be over on Gen AI and without talking the risk about it. So very quickly talking about what is the perspective on ethical AI and concepts like that.
probably let me put it this way, right? It's when you are getting an output the way how you are getting it from the chat GPT, it is not going to be without any risk, right? It's if you really look at what's happening inside, right? It's an LLM model. When the best possible answer is what it is providing, right? It's nothing but a statistical inference is what you are getting as an output from the chat GPT. When you are getting that with the people who is building the GenAI applications, they would be doing a fine tuning, they would be doing a prompt engineering. So that is going to be giving you a risk in terms of hallucination, bias, accuracy, reliability, explainability, toxicity, and so on and so forth. Probably I will give a couple of examples and then I will wrap it up so that it will make sense when I'm saying what is the risk which we are talking about, right? When I'm talking about a hallucination, what is a hallucination, right? If you are training a model in one particular subject, the moment you are going to be asking a question which is going to be totally out of the subject or out of the syllabus, it is going to be giving you a nonsensical answer, but it needs to be managed. What I mean is, if it has been trained on the healthcare, if you are going to be asking a question around the financial, it needs to provide an answer. I do not know, right? That's a proper answer. But if it is going to be giving us some answer associated to the healthcare, even though if you're asking a question on the financial, that will be a problem, right? That's a hallucination. And again, the accuracy, right? If probably 3 years back, everybody would have, no, some of you would have known that ILOG4j issue, right? That's a prevalent issue across all the Java developers, right? If the code was written by GenAI, would it have been avoided? No, it's not possible. Because if it is not written by GenAI, it's not accurate code. Because it is going to be getting a code which is available from the amount, a huge amount of data which is available in the internet. That's how it is going to be available. So these are the challenges, these are the risks which is associated with GenAI. When you are implementing it, you need to be looking at all this risk. You need to plan around how to mitigate all this risk when you are implementing it. And that's something which you will do it, which you need to do it to make it as a responsible AI, right? That's probably I wanted to highlight these two examples. We can further discuss about it again with a constraint of time. I just wanted to give these two examples to what you need to be looking around to make it as a responsible AI.
Thanks, Mani. I think that pretty much the time I see is flashing, and we have come to the end of the session. I don't know if we have time for questions or maybe you want to.
Thank you very much. Well, with this, may I please request Vandana ma'am to kindly join us on stage to do the honors. And ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for all our speakers. I'm pretty sure we must be having loads and loads of questions. Our speakers are going to be around. If you have any questions, any queries, kindly ask them once they are in between the crowd. We can be a bit more louder with the applauses, ladies and gentlemen. That was an absolute informative panel discussion indeed. A big thanks to our moderator and all our panelists. Thank you very much.